Modern discourse often frames religious belief as an abandonment of logic, a requirement to close one's eyes and take a leap into the dark. Islamic epistemology is built on the concept of aqidah. Linguistically, this traces back to the root aqd, the Arabic word for tying a firm, permanent knot. This theological knot is an intellectual binding constructed by three specific vectors: innate disposition, logical necessity, and empirical reality. By tracing these vectors, we can construct the logical architecture of tawheed ar-rububiyyah, the oneness of lordship, to test its structural integrity against the claims of modern materialism. This approach treats theological certainty as a formal, objective structure. In this framework, atheism is evaluated not as a default truth, but as a competing model of reality. Logic requires a starting point. In the Islamic model, that foundation is fitra, or innate disposition. This model suggests that recognizing an absolute perfection and a creator is a built-in human axiom. It is classified as ilm daruri, knowledge that is necessary and inherent rather than culturally acquired. Moving to formal deduction, we find the proof of origination, built on two premises. First, the universe is composed of entities that entered existence after a state of non-existence. Second, anything with a beginning requires an originator to initiate its existence. Denying this causality requires arguing that matter is either eternal or capable of self-origination, positions that have historically required significant philosophical workarounds. We see this in the historical example of the pharaoh who, despite the necessity of an originator, asserted his lordship and denied an external creator. Since the universe has a clearly demonstrable beginning, attributing its existence to absolute nothingness violates the primary laws of causality. Beyond simple causality lies dalalat alinaya, the proof of fine-tuning, which examines the specific mathematical settings of the cosmos. The universe operates within incredibly narrow parameters. For example, if the gravitational constant varied by even a fraction, stars would either fail to ignite or collapse too quickly for planets to form. This heat map of the cosmic microwave background radiation provides the empirical evidence for a definitive cosmic beginning, effectively ending the theory of an eternal, static universe. This ultimately leads to the ontological proof, dalalat al-iftikar, the proof of dependence. It defines created things as inherently needy. Created things are dependent variables. They require an external cause to enter existence and sustain it every millisecond. This model frames the universe as an open system, drawing upon an independent source, rather than a closed loop. The physical universe is mathematically contingent. It lacks the properties of a self-sustaining entity, and therefore requires an independent external variable to exist. The common materialist counterargument to this deduction is the question, if everything needs a creator, who created God? This question introduces a structural flaw in logic known as tasalsul, or infinite regress. If gear A is turned by gear B and B by C, an infinite sequence of dependent gears would result in no motion at all. The system lacks a prime mover. If the chain of causes never has a definitive start, the present moment could never have been reached. For any event to occur today, the causal chain must have a beginning. Logic demands a termination point, wajib al-wujud, the necessary existent. This is a foundation that is uncaused and independent. To ask who created the uncaused is a category error. It is logically equivalent to asking who is the bachelor's wife. Biological materialism often commits a similar error by substituting the mechanism of life for its ultimate origin. Darwin's work describes how existing biological material adapts. It does not address the ontological question of how a system of biology entered existence from a state of non-being. Physics and biology are highly effective at describing mechanisms, but using them to explain ultimate origins leads to the structural collapse of infinite regress. A final materialist refuge is the claim that the laws of physics alone govern the universe, making a creator unnecessary. This perspective is common among theoretical physicists who treat systemic rules as if they were ontological causes. We have to distinguish between a description and an agent. Newton's law of gravity describes how mass behaves. It does not generate the mass itself, nor does it create the force of gravity. Physical laws are mathematical descriptions. Since these laws dictate how matter must behave, they imply the existence of an agent that established those specific parameters. Looking at the full architecture, innate disposition, origination, fine-tuning, and dependence, we see 4 distinct paths. Every path converges on the same logical necessity, wajib al-wujud, the necessary existent. The structure of the Islamic Aqidah is supported by the fact that a contingent, mathematically precise universe requires an absolute independent foundation to exist.